Morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been playing drums for 26-ish years and still got a lot of stuff to practice, to work on. In fact, in these streams, I like to share what I'm working on, how I'm practicing, all that. Oh, don't worry. We're gonna get motivated with Shia LaBeouf here in a moment. Stay tuned for that. A little early. Don't rush. So in these practice streams, I like to share how I'm practicing, what I'm working on, and I also respond to some questions in the different chats because we're live on 2 different YouTube streams. We're live on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, but those don't have, chat enabled. All of the prior streams, if you go to it, you can click on it, whoop, and then the timestamps in the description allow you to see like what I was working on or maybe some of the things I was talking about. So like here, I was just doing a stretch and massage routine. Then we worked on alternating upstroke triplet grid. Then we chopped out with slow paradiddle cheese inverts, blah, 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 blah. So you can find the full practice streams there. When I respond to questions, I then go back and edit those into smaller highlights, and I put them in this playlist called the Drumming Tips playlist. There's like 8.5 hours of tips in here where I just respond, answer some questions. The titles in here are the first video in here, and then there's more in it. So, for example, this talks about how to prepare for drumline auditions. That might be relevant for some of you. And then next, we talk about what it really takes to get a music scholarship. As somebody who's like taught at the university level, had a music scholarship, had students who had music scholarships, I know a thing or two about that. Talk about isolating your hands, working on a rudiment, blah, 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 blah. Now, all of the resources that we use are here. Link at the top of the screen. /drum on my website. There's literally over 1,000 of them for free. If any of the videos say members first, it just means that it's early access. So thank you for those of you who are members. I do appreciate that. It does support me. But you don't have to be. All of them are scheduled to release for free. There's like 160 of them currently scheduled. So members get a lot of videos. There's 54 chop exercises, like 900 grid variations, triplet and 16th note, which we're going to work on some today. We got a bunch of drum kit charts. We got 166 marching bass exercises and well over 100 technique exercises. And again, all of these playlists that I was just talking about is there. Before we get into that, though, we're going to get motivated with Shia LaBeouf. Oh, yeah. Yeah, some of you are already ready to do this. Let's for copyright reasons, we're going to hide Shia LaBeouf. But don't worry. He's here in spirit. Here we go. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success. Well, you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! I don't know what he's grabbing. Just, what is he holding? Do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Yeah! Look at that flex. Good job, Shia LaBeouf. We're super motivated now. Okay. Now, before we actually get into the drumming stuff, I want to share with you a quote that resonates with me. I'm going to be sharing these at the start of each one of the streams. So this is a quote from Mark Rober, heard it in an interview. So the quote is, "Failure is part of the process. If you're not failing, you're not reaching far enough." Now, this quote is super relevant to drumming. So like when I'm playing like drum kit, you hear me fail all the time because I'm specifically working on like limb independence patterns that I'm not yet good at. You need to sit there with the thing that you're not good at in order to get better and improve over time, whether it's like drumming related or life related. So like myself, being on the autism spectrum, I am not always great with social interactions and whatnot. But as an educator, I needed to be better at communicating to and with individuals like across the grade span, because I've worked with every grade, kindergarten through doctoral student. And in order to get better at that, I had to actually practice it. Same thing with like drumming. So like the upstroke work that I'm going to be doing for my left hand in particular, that takes practice. And so we're going to be working on that today. So anything that you're working on, whether it's drumming related, life related, just know that you're going to fail while doing this. And that's okay. That's part of that process. Again, if you are not like actively failing at something, then you're not pushing yourself to get to the next level. Like I went and got a bachelor's, master's, and PhD in music education. And then I taught computer science after that. Wait, what? I don't have any degrees in computer science. It pushed me to learn new content area, to teach in different ways, etc. So for me, it like maybe a better educator, maybe a better scholar, all sorts of things that opened up new doors. I was failing at the beginning and I got better and better and better. And the same thing can happen with you with whatever it is, whether it's a career shift or a social thing, like a skill that you're trying to work on, like being able to socialize or whatever it is. You can get better if you practice it. Let's see. We've got a question on TikTok. A lot of instructors break things down into check series. How important, helpful do you think that is when learning new music? Okay, so the reason for people working on check-related stuff is because it's kind of like your home base. So it's starting with something that is clean and familiar and going back and forth between like a measure of check and a measure of something that is difficult is a really easy way to clean up something when it comes to your playing. So if you're playing like a roll pattern and the roll pattern is like... Well, playing through a check pattern can help you to get that motion down, the underlying rhythms before going into it. So it just like helps to clean up stuff. It's not like you have to like play everything with a check when you're learning something, but it's just good for getting the rhythms down. So if you're, let's say the pattern's something like that and the rolls are dirty, then make the check like... something like that, where you're just playing like the underlying rhythm before you add in the harder part, whether it's like the flams or the rolls or buzzes or whatever embellishment that you're going to do. Make the check the rhythm framework before you go into it. So does that make sense? Maybe. Anyways, we're going to warm up. We're going to warm up with a technique exercise, and it's called roll timing. So this one, when you click on it, it's got a couple of different variations in here. We're going to do this very first one. This one's scheduled to release sometime in the future. I don't remember. Again, there's a ton of videos that are scheduled. This exercise does normal rolls and then inverted rolls, and it 4-2-1s it before you do the extension, which is a normal roll, straight into the inverted roll. So it's a great exercise to work on, and you can go as slow as 20 beats a minute or as fast as 160. Just go timestamps in the description. But we're going to start off at hopefully a comfortable 100. Let's turn up the volume. Cool. Glad to hear that helped. And thanks for stopping in again on TikTok. Here we go. Now, it sounds the same. Like the first line right into the second line, it's like, wait, didn't you just play the same thing? No, so you're actually playing, like if we do first line, and I put right hand on here, left hand on here, for the sextuplet bass roll. But the second line, you start with one right hand, and then you go into the roll. So all of the inverted versions only start with the single right or left hand, and then it goes into the roll after that. So it's actually kind of like shifting it. So instead of like this, you're just going like that. And then it goes into the roll 2-2-2-2-2. So it's a great way to work on the timing of the roll and to really feel the second note of your diddles. So when you play it, you can feel that second note in time because they're now on the downbeats or the eighth notes when you play this inverted variation of roll timing. So I highly recommend working on this particular exercise. And again, because it's a play along, you can slow it down to 20 beats a minute or go as fast as 160 with every single BPM in between. And because it's like created by a computer, it's rhythmically perfect. So you can practice listening in to the correct interpretation of this and any of the other thousands of free play alongs. Anyways, let's continue to warm up. Get the hands going. I feel like my computer's yelling at me. Oops! I did it on the left. Whoopsie! All right, last rep. Then we're going to stretch and massage, and then we'll get into upstroke work. Sweet, let's stretch massage. Highly recommend doing this. Follow along with me. It's weird first stretch, but you start with your palms facing up. You pull in, you pull in, you push out. And now your palms are kind of facing up, but at an angle like that. It's a good stretch. I like it. Learned this from my first drum teacher. Back in the day, what was that, 1998. Woo-wee. And then you go back out the way that you came. If you do traditional rotate and hold here, then rotate and hold the other direction. Hold that for like 20, 30 seconds. Now we're going to stretch the underside of the forearms. Oh, that feels so good. You could do it one at a time like this, just pull them back a little bit. You could do it on the wall like I demonstrated yesterday. The lower you go, the deeper the stretch. Ooh. Or you could do it on your drum pad. Or younger sibling. Excuse me. Frank, come here. I need to stretch. Lend me your back, please. Don't do that. That was a joke. Can you tell I'm an only child? Didn't have to worry about that. I just assumed that's how siblings treat each other. Some of my friends treated their siblings as objects. It was very dehumanizing to observe. Anyways, don't put all your weight into it. You don't want to tear stuff. Now, the top side, you can stretch like this. So you're kind of pulling these fingers toward you. Stretching the top side. You can do this one on your legs like this. It's a good one if you're like sitting on drum kit. Or on the wall, the higher you go, the deeper your stretch. We'll go ahead and just do this one on the pad. Again, don't put all your weight into it. That would bad. You don't want to do that. Don't break stuff. At least not in your body. Don't break your tendons and whatnot. Drumsticks will break. It happens. Except for that one. The one up there. The little sliver. Some Skojos. They did not break. I was trying. We're now stretching the thumbs. Interesting. Is there anything that you can do to improve your grip strength after breaking your thumbs? There's so many factors there that like I can't adequately respond to without like knowing like what type of break it was and like what the problem is like with the grip strength, etc. So what I'm going to do is like recommend that you actually speak to a hand specialist. There are people who specialize in hand health. There was one that came to the percussion studio during my undergrad. And it was like after I like got an injury in my arm that like prevented me from drumming for a month, which was not good when you're on a percussion scholarship. No good. But they came in and they like talked about some like different exercises that you could do with this like thing that kind of looked like a dream catcher. It was like a spider web looking thing, and you like put your fingers in it and you like do this to like strengthen, and then you can also expand as well, and that'll strengthen your fingers a different way. So depending on the break, they might be able to give you some exercises like that that'll help strengthen the muscles around where the break was and regain some strength and maybe even mobility and whatnot with your thumbs. But without like being a hand specialist and knowing specifically what happened to your thumb, I wouldn't be able to give like generic advice that would be able to help you with that. But what I'm trying to say is you're likely able to improve it if you go see someone who can like specifically diagnose the issue with it. It will be worth your time in the long run to do that. So I highly recommend it. Like in fact, a lot of these like stretches that I learned and whatnot were from the hand specialist, and like these massages that I guess I can start right now. Just like take care of your arms or hands. They'll be able to really help out with that. This is kind of weird, but what I would recommend is actually bring sticks and pad with you to the appointment so you can specifically show them, like, here's what the motion is, here's what the grip is, here's where the problem is with, like, the tension, etc., or lack of, and then they'll be able to, like, really identify it. Because if you just go in without your sticks and pad and just kind of, like, vaguely talk about it, if they're not a drummer, they're just not going to know, like, what are the mechanics involved with your hand and how can you actually improve that? So I don't have an answer other than guiding you towards somebody who would be able to give you an answer, but hopefully that helps. You're welcome. It's a great question, though, and not a weird question at all. It's good to consider that kind of stuff. Everybody's anatomy is going to be different. I've worked with a lot of percussionists, thousands of students, but like those are also computer science students and band students, etc. But percussion-wise, like everybody's hands are different. There's like different injuries to consider. There's different mobility things or differences in finger size, which will impact, well, how does the grip look from one person to the next? Like I've told this story multiple times, but I marched next to a guy one year whose fingers were like multiple inches longer than like everybody else's fingers on the snare line. And so like his grip kind of looked like this, but it made sense for his hands because otherwise it'd be like he was holding it like a fist if he were to like hold the sticks the same way as everybody else. So yeah, everybody's hands are going to be different, and it's really important to consider that when you're performing and then also when you're teaching as well. Just know that like you're not going to get complete uniformity unless everybody happens to look exactly the same and has zero differences in their like prior medical trauma related to their hands and whatnot. You're thinking of quitting a toxic band, but kind of hard because of the 2 years that you've been there. Clarification question. By the way, there's like a huge delay on Instagram, but thank you for asking the question. When you say band, are you talking about like a marching band and like you're stuck at that school and so there's no other option? Or are you talking about like a band like where you're playing on drum kit or something? That's a great question though. So I'm massaging the palm and then the back of the hands with the fingers, with the palms with the thumb, and then I'm massaging base of tip of the fingers there. My instructor never really appreciated me for improving most. Okay, interesting. I'm thinking. That's a good context. That changes the answer a bit. So I had a very similar experience. Marching band, open class. You don't have options? Okay. Okay, so in instance like this, there's a couple of different ways that you can approach this. I had a very similar experience in college marching band. So for undergraduate degrees in music education, you have to march for 2 years in the college marching band, at least at where I was at, because they didn't have like a methods course on like how to teach marching band kind of a thing. It didn't matter that I had a few years of experience in DCI and 4 years of marching band experience in high school. Like everybody's required to be there. So it was a mandatory class for me. Had to be there. I didn't have an option to quit unless I quit degrees, which I wasn't going to do. When I was in there, the instructor treated me in a way that was similar to what you're talking about. in terms of just constantly giving me a hard time and treating me differently than everybody else. As an example, I was the center snare my second year, and we were playing traditional grip. And about 30 minutes before rehearsal, I was practicing match grip because in 2005, Vanguard was switching over to match grip for the snare line. And so I was working on this before rehearsal, and the instructor came up to me and was like, if I see you play that way again, meaning match grip, and then he's like, you're off my line. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm also a concert percussionist, like in the percussion studio. Are you going to like tell me I have to play traditional grip on marimba? Like, dude, this is my practice time. I do what I want. And so he got really upset with me. And he's like, that's it. You're off center snare. And so he kicked me off of center snare, and I had to march on the end. And he tried to talk to the director to get me kicked off of the drum line entirely, to fail me in the class, which, again, I had to be there. It was mandatory for the degree. And as a result of this, I ended up going on anti-anxiety medication because I was starting to have panic attacks before every single rehearsal because, like, I didn't know what he was going to do each one of the rehearsals. Because, like, when I'd go there, I'd be like, is he going to yell at me for something that I didn't do or whatever? So I just, like, completely wrote off the rest of the season and just did not care at all about it because of how horrible it was. So the options that I had there is I could have, and maybe this relates to you, it was just a roundabout way of answering your question, just also trying to say I relate to it. But I could have potentially spoken to the instructor and said, hey, man, why are you treating me differently than the rest of the people on the line? Like, what's the source of this? Is there a reason why you're doing this? It's, like, not cool at all. I don't appreciate it. Part of that issue was a jealousy thing. He was rather insecure with his own abilities as a percussionist, and I could out-chop him. So he tried to bring me down to elevate himself. But another part was like his like roundabout way of like trying to be like tough on me to like encourage me to like get better, but it was in a way that was literally abusive. So I'm all for like customizing your teaching style for like each one of the students that you work with, but his approach that he chose with me was abusive, to be honest, and highly problematic. So obviously don't recommend that. So I couldn't talk to him. So what I ended up doing is I talked to the band director to try and get things changed. And he's like, hey, I'm not going to fail you from the class. I don't agree with what the instructor's doing, but I'm going to just like try and take the middle ground here and say, hey, just play on the end snare and just see if you can suck it up for the rest of the season. And so I did, even though the instructor also tried to get me kicked off of my percussion scholarship by like claiming that I was being difficult in the ensemble. And it's like, dude, I'm literally just practicing match grip. That's me being difficult. Like, there's some issues there, etc. Last drop. So to be more direct, you can talk to the instructor. You can talk to the head director, the person in charge, to say, hey, here's some problems. Or 3, you can just leave. It is not worth your time to be harassed by somebody, no matter what it is. So like the previous job that I had before I started creating like content full-time on YouTube and whatnot, I was being harassed at work and walked away from that job after, 6 or 7 years working there because I was tired of the harassment. It just wasn't improving, and board members weren't doing anything about it. If anything, they were defending the abuser. Etc. So no matter what the stakes are, like it's not worth your mental, physical health to sit there and be abused and to get harassed. That is unfortunate if that is like the only opportunity you have at the school, but you could potentially try and get into some WGI groups. Some of them don't allow you to participate unless you're participating in school ensembles, so you might need to still be in like the concert programs, etc. But some of them will allow you to be in it if you explain the situation, be like, hey, here's what's happened, blah, blah, blah. But you could also do DCI, etc. So there are some options, or DCA, the all age course, all that stuff. Now, I need to read your chat here. Let me see. Ooh. Yeah, so that's no good. The way that he's treating you, it reminds me of how I was treated in a different drumline. So this is a different instructor. His way of trying to respond to people was to be toxic to them. So he would often make very inappropriate jokes that I will not repeat on stream because, like, I am family friendly, even though the games I play, like Rise of the Ronin here in a little bit, is not always family friendly. But very problematic stuff, like on the edge of like extreme responses, like very edgy, I guess is how you might describe it. But it wasn't funny. It made things worse for the rest of the group. I almost gave it away. The director of that ensemble was not always aware of just how extreme this person was being and how they would humiliate people in the line and literally throw things at them, like water bottles and whatnot, and drumsticks. If people like made a mistake, so he would like literally line up water bottles while teaching and just chuck it at people if somebody made a mistake, or call them names and make fun of them. So it was kind of similar with that. It's like one thing to have high standards and to be critical and to like, hey, this is not where it could be. Let's improve that. But it's a different thing to be like, you suck, and like call somebody all sorts of names and again, try and bring them down. That is not good. So that's just bad teaching. And I say that as somebody who's like actually got experience teaching a lot. So I'm really sorry to hear that. That is not a you issue. What I will say is that, unfortunately, sometimes, and I was in this boat for a while where I'd defend it, but sometimes people in the line will look at it and they go, oh, that's normal. No, it's not, actually. It's really bad behavior. It's very abusive teaching, and it should not have any place in any kind of instruction at all. It can cause way more harm than good. There are people who have sought therapy and medication because of the way that instructors have treated them. If you bring it to the attention of the director, whoever's in charge there, assuming that there's somebody above them, that might be able to help some things. If you can go there with other students in the ensemble and say, hey, we have all seen this thing. Here's how we feel when this is happening. Here's documented evidence on this date. He said this. On this date, she said that, whatever their gender is. That might be able to help with the case, but sometimes the directors will defend that. I've had some instances of other directors. I've got so many horror stories of what not to do instruction-wise. But there have been some other directors who have defended it, and I won't get into details on that. But you can sometimes go above them, whether, like, if it's at a school, then you can go to the principal or the, like, assistant principal and say, like, yo, this is what's going on in school, on school grounds, during school time, and in a school activity, and here's how it makes me feel, and I don't appreciate this. I've spoken to the instructor about it. I told them I don't appreciate it. They responded in this way, and just document it. And if you have some evidence and whatnot, that can help with that, to, like, make a case. But you can just keep elevating it. And if, like, a principal doesn't do anything about it, cool, go to the school board and talk to them about it. Or you can just leave. I mean, it's open class. Okay, my apologies. So sometimes there are boards with groups that are, you're just going to quit? Yeah. Honestly, it's not worth it to sit there and handle the abuse. And you might set a precedent for being able to, like, show other people, yo, this, like, I have respect for myself and how I'm treated, and you can too, and you don't have to sit there and take the abuse. But I'm genuinely sorry to hear that is how you're being treated. That is terrible. It is sad to see and to hear that the activity is still kind of perpetuating some abusive, I wanted to say pedagogies, but, like, it's not teaching. That's just bad teaching. It's terrible. So I'm sorry to hear that. The life gets better when you distance yourself from people who are bringing you down. No matter what the stakes are, like, prioritize yourself and your health and know that like you'll always have other opportunities to drum in different capacities, different ways. And then also you can take this as like learning what not to do. So like I mentioned multiple stories already of really bad instruction that I've received as a student, and that taught me what not to do. So like, again, going with like this tattoo on here, taking it so that when it starts to rain, you pull out the umbrella and then you learn how to play in the rain. Like this is something, the reason why I have it on my forearm is because I want to always remember that. So like taking the really bad instruction, starting to rain, and then learning from it and going, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this instead and improve things. So yeah, I'm really, really genuinely sorry to hear that. You are not the issue. That is just really bad instruction and really insecure instruction. And it might be stemmed in relation to just insecurities with their inability to teach, and then also insecurities potentially with like you being better than they were when they were your age. I think I said that correctly. I have seen some instructors like that where like if they have an all-star student, they just give them a hard time because that all-star student is better than they were, and they're intimidated by it, which is kind of pathetic. I mean, to be honest with you. So I'm really sorry to hear that. Let me see if I missed anything. Yeah, just like rereading some of those comments, that's genuinely pathetic. The way that he's treating you. So it's not you. I'm sorry. Like from the bottom of my heart, like as an educator, that makes me sad to see that is still going on. Like it's just, it's disgusting, to be honest. Anyways. Yeah, okay, so you hate that you have to quit music for a while? Okay, so I agree that is frustrating, but your well-being is more important, and you're just quitting with that group in that context. You can still perform outside of that. Whether it's as a soloist, you can perform on streams, you can perform recordings of yourself. There's like so many dudes who aged out years ago who are playing stuff, like Ralph Nader. He's actually really big on Instagram. Keiichi, I forget his last name. He marched for Blue Devils, really good Japanese snare drummer. Oh man, I forget his name. But there's Kyle Tsuchiya. He did not Cavaliers. He did Blue Coats. I'm like, there's a lot of dudes who previously performed in dudettes with like different ensembles and are no longer doing it, who are like creating content, still practicing, still sharing, still improving, etc. And you can do that as well. So even if there are no opportunities around where you're at physically, you can still continue to get better as a performer, and you can still share things and whatnot and become a better performer. So you have a lot of options for that because of like the availability, like just like being able to have your phone and record yourself and share it. Like I've reached a lot of people with just this content that I create on my website, and you can do the same thing. So performing with a group is not the only way to share that. But again, I'm really sorry. Oh yeah. Brandon Orlander, he's great. Yeah, there's a lot of dudes who are playing some cool stuff online. And dudettes. Less dudettes. My wife is a percussionist, but there's not a lot of drummers who are female, unfortunately. Part of that is actually by design. If you think about it. So the carriers, the way that they're actually designed, and I know this because of the person who helps invent the carrier mentioned this, and I was like, oh, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about it. But the way they're designed, they don't take into account anatomy of typical female, because of the way that the T-bar went across like the front of your chest, And so that kind of prevents people from being able to perform because of that. So there are like adjustments that can be made that they can help, but it's still like it literally limits who can participate based off of body type, which is unfortunate. Anyways. Hey, yeah, no worries. You always have a space to be able to like share some thoughts and whatnot here. I'm down to talk about stuff like that because it's important to understand that drumming's not all like sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes we got to talk about some of the difficult sides, the social sides with drumming. Anyways, so we're working on an accent tap. We're doing inverts. This is the speed that we left off yesterday. Not to do a hard segue, but just jumping right into it. We're just going up one click at a time. Oh, that's good to hear that the Randall Mays are trying to get better with that. I haven't seen anything about that, but I also haven't had to worry about carriers in a long time. Waffle, hello, by the way. I don't think I said hi. My apologies. Sorry. I was on a little bit of a rant there. Noticing that the left hand is still flattening out. Still not where I want with the left. Let's focus on that. Late. Actually, let me think about that. I have a response. So, this, to be clear, this is different than what you were just talking about, but it made me think of it. I was talking to my wife about this the other day, but there are, everything that you described, there are, that's 100% the instructor just being pathetic, a bad instructor. Like, that's not how you talk to a student, ever. Bad instruction. Now, this is separate from you, but it just made me think of it. There are some people who are unable to see objectively that, hey, there's areas for you to work on. You are not that person, by the way. It's clear that you are actively seeking that out, trying to get better, blah, blah, blah. But some people will be like, and I see this in relation to YouTube, because I'm trying to do this like as a full-time gig, is people will be like, hey, I don't understand why I'm not famous yet, basically. Why am I not making six-figure income on my YouTube channel? My videos are great. And then you go and you look at their channel, and it's terrible. Like, genuinely just like, wow, you just had like a 10-minute vlog where you said nothing. Cool. Nobody's interested in that. and your thumbnails are bad and your titles are bad, etc. So some people are unable to take that kind of criticism. When it comes to drumming, same thing. I have seen some students where they think they're better than they are. So like I would give some feedback like, hey, here's an area where they can improve, and then be like, no, that was fine. It's like, okay, what do I know? I'm just here getting paid to teach you, but sure, you definitely know more than I do. Again, that's not what you were doing, but for people who may be in that camp and have like an inflated ego about your playing, just remember, again, if you're not failing, you are not improving. Going back to the quote that was at the beginning of the stream, focus on areas that you can improve, even little areas. Like I'm looking at like a change in my hand angle from here to here. Like that is so minor in the long run, but it is a huge deal to just be able to refine that stuff and continue to improve it, even after the 26 years that I've been drumming. When is my next drum set stream? Okay, so that I don't know actually. And the reason why is because I had here, we got that big bandage on there. I had a little operation done where they like removed a chunk of skin up there because of it was basal cells, which is like a type of skin cancer, but like not a scary type. Like it's gone now, so not spread or anything. But because of that, I'm avoiding putting my headphones on my head because I don't want to irritate the area. So it might actually be like a week or so until I get back into drum set streams. Once it's healed on top of my head, then I will go back to doing drum set streams. I just don't want to mess with it because I got like a dent in my head and it's still a little bit of an open wound where they chunked off the stuff. You joined a concert band? Nice. Yeah, concert band is fun. That was like this thing that I did second to drumline. So the number one thing that I did was drumline, and then concert band stuff was like what got me the scholarship in college. It paid the bills, but I wish rudimental snare paid the bills. Although like learning all the percussion instruments like really opened my like doors for what I could do. So like being a caption head was because I could play everything and teach everything. But if like all I did was snare, then I wouldn't have been able to do that. Oh, and sorry, the second half of what you were talking about. On the Slash Drum page, which I know you know about, if you go down to the limb independence section for the drum kit, there's timing exercises, 16th note wise. If you play just like quarter notes on the hand and like well 1, 2, 3, 4 on the drum kit, and then read through the 8th note patterns and then the 16th note timing patterns. Some of them are, well, quite a few of them are currently members first, but they'll eventually come out publicly. But there are enough in there that can keep you busy. Read through those patterns with the foot, and if you can get that down, then you'll be able to play whatever, because it permutates it. So it goes through like every variation of 16th notes in there. Another thing you can do is play the quarter notes, what I was just describing, while playing like short, long. With the foot, while you're playing... etc. Any of those timing exercises, double beat exercises are great ways to work on your foot while you do the ostinato patterns with the hands. Ew. How do you practice without a pedal? I mean, fake it. Just practice going through the motion. So like Jojo Mayer would practice, like he has a technique that is like this with the foot to work on the doubles. So so he could do 16th notes with his feet. And he would just sit there and like practice this while like eating dinner. So I would do the same thing to try and work on that. I'm not great at it, but just practice moving the foot. Specifically heel down to like develop the muscles for it, endurance and whatnot. Keep that heel on the ground and just move your foot up and down and work on that without the pedal. And if you put it on like a cardboard box or something so you can hear it a little bit more with like shoes, then you can actually hear that more doing it that way. And then if you end up doing like a heel up when you're practicing, it'll at least have worked on that motion with the foot so you can do it with the heel down. Hey, you're very welcome. I appreciate you stopping in, as always. Again, it's not you. That was a bad instructor. I'm sorry you experienced that, though. Couple more reps, and we'll chop out. And then I'm going to get ready for Rise of Ronin. Ew, late. First time playing it. Last rep. It's kind of modulating it, messing around with the rhythm. So the modulations, you could do like double strokes, where you just slow one down, and then it turns into like a Swiss, like that, and then it goes into a double stroke off the other hand. You can do it with 3 strokes, it eventually turns into flam taps. It's fun. So you're taking the pattern and you're just going woo, and then it goes out the other side, or double strokes, woo, like that. So, anyways, that's what I was talking about with the rhythmic modulations. I've seen a couple of drum lines do that. Momentum, which was a WGI group in Arizona way back in the day. And then Blue Devils have done it as well. I forget what years. There's some others as well. Shred it through your muscles. In the last 8 months, double bass. It's normal when trying to push towards higher speeds on double bass. I'm not a double bass expert. That is an interesting question. Drum kit is, I've spent way less time on that than rudimental. My guess, based off of some hand injuries that I have, is it might be related to technique and not taking care of it. So like at the start of these practice streams, like I'll warm up for a little bit and then I'll do stretch and massage routine. And I do that every single time, every single day when I'm practicing, sometimes multiple times a day. Same thing might be related to the foot and like all the muscles around it. So like your, maybe even your thighs and your like quads, but also just like the calf muscles and whatnot. So you might need a massage like around it, on it, just to like really help loosen it up, and do like toe taps to help with it, as well as ankle rolls. So like spell out the ABCs in lowercase and capital letters with the ankle, and that can help with it. But yeah, it could be related to the technique you're using, and then the just general overuse issues. So look up like what are the name of them? Sports physical therapists, like from like people who got like kinesiology degrees or physical therapy degrees, etc. They can help you out with like runners who have similar injuries and how they recover it. So that might be something that you could look into to find some different stretches and massages and like routines you can do to just like keep your legs healthy. But sharp pain in general is bad. Dull, exhaustive pain, like just like soreness, is usually okay. Although there's some debate in like the weightlifting community about like whether or not you should feel any pain at all, including the dull pain. Some people say no, some people say yes. Like it'll like help with the blood just draining. But at the end of the day, because I do a lot of walking on an incline on the treadmill while I like play a video game or things like that, I will lay inflammation and bring that down. So that might be able to help you as well, chilling. But that's a good question on Twitch. Thank you for asking that. King and Diamonds, hello again. Welcome back. Anyways, let's chop out. A lot of talking today, which is good. Some good questions in the chats. I appreciate y'all. Let's see. Let's chop out with... Since I like just mentioned Blue Devils, we'll go with the classic. Wow, I just like spit like Shia LaBeouf there. Do it. Yes, you can. All right, so Blue Devils 99 shopping spree has got some like fun little patterns in here, like the book report. Into the putt. Edward, welcome back. Hello, hello. Here we go. Why? Who knows? When I do these drum streams in the morning, it just happens. We're going to chop out with this, and then we're going to get ready for Rise of the Ronin. First time playing through it. This will probably be the breaking point today. We got the heavy Hardeman hammer sticks. Makes it extra difficult to work on chop stuff. Superb drumming sometimes. Sometimes not. Wait till the next drum kit practice stream. That'll definitely be not. I appreciate the kind words. Go. Do it. Just do it. YouTube, don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said you'd load tomorrow. Come on. Come on. I was looking for a PlayStation 1. You found one on Amazon for $112. That sounds like a lot, actually. I mean, it is nostalgic, but $112? I think it'd be like $50. Didn't they, like, remake the PlayStation? Like 1 and 2, I think? And it like came with games built into it or something like that. Maybe I'm misremembering. Should you bring your Hardemans to your audition? Yeah, why not? Bring whatever you got. Unless it's like on timpani. Are you not gonna load? Tube you? Are you broken? You really sad right now? Yeah, I'm sad too. It won't load. Here we go. At least a 159. Let's try it at 160. Why are you sad, King of Diamonds? You bought a GoPro. Why does that make you sad? It didn't turn you into a pro? False advertisement. Woo-wee! That was fun. I like it. What? I only said I have GoPro. And he just screamed no. Were you trying to do like the POV thing where you like put the camera on your drum? You're not allowed to film us. Yeah, some directors don't want you filming content. Yeah, one of that. Ghost, hello. I don't know anything about the race results. My wife and I are going to watch that later. I'm curious. We'll see what happened. Hopefully Hamilton won. Although odds are Norris probably won. Don't tell me. Don't want to know. We'll find out. Anyways, very talkative stream today, but some really good questions, really good comments in the chats. We got comments actually on everywhere that I can see. Facebook and Twitter are disabled, but both of YouTube's, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, I appreciate you all. All the resources are here, /drum, on my website. They're free. Literally over 1,000 of them. All those grid variations, all the chop exercises, limb independent stuff, marching bass exercises, technique exercises, all the prior live streams with timestamps showing what I talked about, all the drumming tips edited, so it's just the good information. We'll chop down today's stream into a bunch of little clips we'll put into these kinds of videos. They're free. If you enjoy it, just share it with somebody else, and I appreciate that. Not even close. Uh-oh. Well, okay, well, I'm looking forward to finding out. Interesting. You have me intrigued. We are going to get ready for Rise of the Ronin. I've never played the game. It looks interesting. It kind of gives me Ghost of Tsushima vibes. But I think it's by the team that did Ninja Gaiden. But we'll see how that combat feels. So we'll be streaming that here in probably about 20 minutes. I got to get set up for that. We can put a ring back on. Now I'm married again. Sorry, ladies. I'm spoken for. But I'm going to call it here. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope you all enjoy the free drumming resources on my site. But goodbye.